this one. Welcome, everyone. I'm glad that so many have decided to join us today. This was first day of opening of GenCon Virtual, and I'm very pleased to bring to you a new design. But first, I want to talk to you a little bit about what I've been doing during all of this shutdown time period. I've had opportunity upon opportunity to sculpt new things. I have been busy on Twitch, and if you want to catch my Twitch broadcast, I've been doing RPG characters from TT2KB's Everstorm D&D 5e game. And this is Kodo. Kat, can you switch? Let's switch the cameras to the face and.
Just tell me what it is.
Hit that right there on
This one?
the little triangle, yes. And then the next one down, face cam and body. So, yeah, I'm coaching my my technician back here. So bear with us. This is Kodo. And Kodo is a Dragonborn character that is part of the D&D 5e Everstorm game. The Everstorm game is a homebrew by TT2KB. But I had a lot of fun with that guy. That's one of the very first one that I've done on Twitch. And then also part of their group was a little gnome that was Skeezer. And Skeezer was a created being, and so put them side by side. He's a little bitty guy, but that is happening on Twitch, which I will be live tomorrow at 10:30 on Twitch. So if you like what you see today and you want to see more of it, tomorrow I will be available. In fact, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, I am live on Twitch. And there should be a Twitch channel. Yeah, Kat's put it up there for us. So if you want to check that out, you can. Also, we have been working very hard on a Cthulhu Dice Box. And the Cthulhu Dice Box is it just has this huge Cthulhu-like creature on top, a couple little skulls on the sides, and well, you can see the detail. This is going to run as a Kickstarter soon, and if you follow me, if you go to my webpage, there's a link to subscribe to my newsletter, and you will be sure and get information about that. But it's a big dice box, and it'll hold a full Crown Royal bag of dice in there. So, for those people who have been bugging me about the Octopus Box being larger, well, if you remember, I had a small one, and now I have a huge one. So, that is in the works. Hope you like it. And don't forget to comment. You can comment here on YouTube, and it's just easy to do. Feel free, feel open to do so. By the way, I've also sculpted this little guy. This is Sakuro, and he is available on my web store right now, and he does come with these metal dice, and they're an iridescent metal dice. And I thought it went well with my sculpture. So he holds a full set, and you get a full set with that with each order. On the bottom, it is felt lined, and he is the guardian, or she is the guardian of your dice. So that's a new sculpture as well. So what are we going to do today? Today, I have been working on this huge sculpture. Oh my. And I don't know how we're going to get this all in. I'm going to have to back up a little bit. so that you can see it all. And I have outlined the wire armature of the dragon on the keep, and I've started work on the side of the bricks here for the keep. We'll get a close-up there. And this whole thing is going to be covered, plus there will be, you know, the normal wall up here with the arrow turrets, you know, the little slots for those firing the arrows, and there'll be various little windows in there. There'll be a stairs right here that come down, and then this big giant dragon on the side, and he's going to be clawing into it with it's actually a wyvern, I know that, but I really kind of went Game of Thrones on this, but that's the concept. So what are we going to be working on today? I have no delusions that in an hour and a half I can put together and sculpt this entire dragon. That's not going to happen. But I can show you the structure of the dragon, and then we're going to work on the dragon head. So we're going to be just working on this part here, just this part. So we will put this back down on the floor, and I will pull up what I'm going to work with.
What resin or clay do you use?
I'm going to do the whole thing in Avis Epoxy Sculpt. It's a two-part substance, and if you're familiar with green stuff, it works much the same way. Two equal parts, you mix them together thoroughly, and you have a clay-like substance to work with for about an hour and a half to 3 hours, and then it'll become solid after that. So what I've got here is just the rudimentary bare bones of my dragon head, and the reason I've got it like this with the little wire and the battery pack hooked up to it is because I am going to have this dragon to be glowing blue, of course, because he is a Dracolich, and it has various settings for the speed of the eyes, and the glowing LEDs, and we'll probably have it come in and fade out like that. So what's going to happen is this is going to be at the core of our dragon head, and we're just going to sculpt around this, and then we're going to pierce into it. Now what I've done is I've used a hard plastic straw, and I order a lot of these sometimes. They're very useful, and I just cut off a portion of it. It's a very thick plastic, very hard, but it allows me to store away from the clay the lights and all of the rest of it, and then I can drill down to that clay and put in the lights. So that is the way that this is going to work, and well, I think it is anyway. Now we're going to have to probably add on horns, and we'll probably have to add, we need a little bitty extension down here for the bottom jaw. So I'm going to do that now. So this is just working with the armature first, and I'm using a sculptor's wire. It is aluminum wire that is very, it's stiff, yes, but it's malleable. It's easy to bend. So it holds its shape, but it is still easy to bend it. And I'm just kind of eyeballing everything as to where I think things should be. I'm just going to wrap around to get my bottom jaw in there, and I made it too long. Okay, should have looked before I leaped. back that. Well, I can just back it up. That's true. Yep. Let's do that.
They're admiring your paint display holder.
Oh. So, yeah.
They were asking, is it PVC pipe? Well, yes, it is.
Yep. You can see my tools, my paint, more paint. Then the chaos. Lots of paint, lots of paint, lots of paint, lots of chemicals.
You want to know what size of wire?
Yeah, me too. I believe this is. Yeah, I don't. This was the really thin. The thicker one is an 18 gauge, so I'm not sure what this is. I will find out, and I will post it in the description of this video once it's done. You will always be able to go back and view this. It'll be on my YouTube channel.
Was the wire already placed in the tower the same type, or was it a heavier gauge?
It was the 18 gauge wire.
And do you sketch it out before sculpting?
I do not. I sometimes I'll take that back. Sometimes I do, but a lot of times I do not. I think about it for a long time though, and then sometimes it, once you've thought about it for a long time, you get really excited about it. It comes together fairly fast. For the characters on my RPG characters, like Kodo here, DM Art, Levi McCulloch, did the original sketches. And he is the DM for that TT2KB group. And I said, hey Levi, how would you guys like to have some statues of your characters? And they said, yeah. So it was not a hard sell.
Well, who wouldn't? Now what are you doing there?
I am making the wire for the horns. So if you can imagine, this is going to be the upper jaw, and this will be the top of the head right here, and then back here will be the horns, and then down here is going to be the bottom jaw. So we don't have to. These are just kind of like bones for the armor. It's just armature. Yeah, it's just bones. Kind of. So.
Noah Mandela wants to know what kind of paints do you use?
Almost exclusively acrylics. Occasionally, I will do some oils, but almost always acrylics.
Why? Because they dry faster?
Yeah. Acrylics, let's see, what kinds? Let me see. I like these metallics. I like them a lot. And this is Deco Art Dazzling Metallics Ice Blue, which is what Kodo's head is a combination of anyway. His head is a combination of that ice blue and Dazzling Metallics Peacock Pearl, and there's some bronze work. No, I'll take that back. There is this royal ruby for the patches. Oh, sorry. So then there's the Liquitex brand. I also use that. It's just whatever happens to work for me at the time. I think I even have some folk art over here. Yeah.
So you can just pick them up at the
Michaels. And see, look, here's some Liquitex heavy body stuff. So I have a combo of stuff that I pull on. The Liquitex basics are over there too. So it's just a hodgepodge mess of what colors seem to work for me. I put a little hot glue on there and let it solidifying a little bit so that it doesn't move around on me very much. And not too centered there either. And that's the beauty of this wire. You can just kind of maneuver it around. Alright, so let's go ahead and mix up some clay. I don't know how far we'll get, but I'm thinking we'll get pretty far, actually. And if I don't like it, then, you know, it becomes a learning lesson for me, too. So, sometimes that happens, you know, have to start over. On Saturday, I got a full weekend here, folks, but on Saturday, I will be interviewing Phil Velkin, and Velikan. I should try to get his name right. That might be important. Phil does stuff like this. So Saturday at 4, I'll be back here on YouTube, and that's 4 Eastern time. And we'll be talking with Phil, and we'll ask him about his career, and what he likes to sculpt, and all kinds of stuff.
Jonathan says, "Hey, miss ya."
Hey, Jonathan. Thanks for joining us. You know, I know GenCon is not you know, we're not getting together physically, and that's a tough pill to swallow. But still, I mean, it's great that they're doing this kind of thing, right?
We
I mean,
found a way. We're like little weeds.
yeah, it is great that at least, I mean, when everything else is falling apart, we can still do this, you know. What a great age we live in, actually.
And from everywhere in the world. Awesome.
Yeah, that's really the most awesome part about this. I'm sure some of you are all the way around the other side of the globe. So the thing you want to do here is you want to make sure this stuff gets mixed up. So I'm just kind of kneading away. If you have any questions while I'm doing this, then feel free to chime in. You know, it might have been a little, but we can always add clay on there to make it flesh out a little bit.
Jonathan says, "Sure thing, man. Had to at least drop by since I can't come bug you at your booth this year."
Yeah, most of you know us for the giant dragon heads that we have, the slithers. You can throw a slither up there on the screen, and click on the right there, and where did it all go? Oh, it's up in the top one. I'll go to face cam, sweetheart. One above. Now you can see all the things down here. Yeah, slither. The eyeball. There you go. And there's a couple of versions of slither up there too. So most of you know that we do that. And last year we had the first time we could actually cast him. So we have plenty plenty to go around if you want to buy one. Yeah, we have shards. You can show them that one. And I don't know, there's several other things there you can see. But you have to turn off the eyeball. You have to click on the eyeball again. There's a shard. And different colors for the shards. The next one down is the Dracolich. And you have to click off the eyeballs. Here we go. Now I did that as a full-scale dragon trophy last year, and it was sold at GenCon, so it went really fast. And I love that design, so I went back and I thought it would be good to do a small one, but a full body dragon. And you know what? I forgot to get my eyes out, Kat. The eyes are over there by you, underneath that table.
Any tips in proportioning out how much of the epoxy you need?
I usually just go slow bits at a time, little at a time, and
then somebody else, Kevin Krause says, "Hey there, do you have to wear gloves or are they necessary?"
I view them as necessary. I tell you that I have done it without gloves, and I know that some in the company that sells them says, well, you know, it's optional, but
when you start breaking out, it's necessary.
yeah, you will. If you deal with it all the time, you will get a resin intolerance thing going, and I think it's necessary. I don't like the way it feels on my hands. It's after I finish, even though here, I'll give you a view of the eyes here.
I need to go to face camping.
Yeah. I'm trying to find a match.
What color are you looking for?
The deep blue. Oh, there it is. There's his little eye. Okay. So we have two eyes now. And those are...
Connie says, are you doing more vent dragons? I got a small one last year. Got more different colored vent dragons.
Yeah, we're still doing that too, yes. And we're going to do maybe a few more variations on that theme as well. I got so many projects going. I'm bewildering myself. One of the things I want to do is I want to do a dragon necklace with a three-tailed dragon coming around. So that's also in the works.
Kelly sees Z says, where do you get the eyes?
These I got from Amazon, but most of the time I make my own. And I don't bother with these little ones, but most of the time, we're going to show you how to do this. You can go and you can pick up eyes from the internet if you want, or you can do Photoshop drawing for an eye, and then what happens, like this down here, this is an actual lizard eye. I forget what lizard though. I think it's a gecko. Yeah, right there, that one. And so you print them out of the printer, and then you can buy these domed cabochon glass things, and you can just glue them right on. Now I've had this one and I've got goop all over it, and so it's not very clear. But once you do that, once you glue it with the E6000 glue, then you can twirl it like this, and the crazy thing is that it follows you. I mean, the pupil will, because of the concave or convex concave, it it distorts the image down below and makes it look like it's following you. Plus, it gives you, I mean, the reflective highlights from the glass itself. So that is the way we do the eyes. Those are the eyes for the big guy, Slither. And I got them a little bit heavy on that part B here, I think. Was it part B? No, that's not. Part A. So.
Always keep it sealed so it doesn't dry out.
Well, I'm not sure. It does have a funny reaction to the air after a while, but it takes a long while.
What kind of playful mirrors? I want to know what kind of clamp are you using to build off of?
Oh man, these things are great. This one's a Proxon, and I forget what they're called. They're called panel vises. That's what they're called, panel vises. And the vise itself, you can notice, it has a little ball down here, so you can turn this thing whichever way you want, and that comes in so handy when you're sculpting and trying to get to a part of the character that is hard to reach. So yeah, that is very. I got it crooked now. But I like these panel vises, and then I mounted it on a Lazy Susan. And we don't need the lights on. But see, now this will give me an opportunity to run the lights through the body as well. But I mounted this panel vise on the Lazy Susan, and that makes it nice and easy to turn around. All I did is I just went to got some plywood and cut out the circle, and then you can buy these Lazy Susans, just the raw part of it, metal part, and it makes a really smooth transition. Okay, so I want to do a little bit of design work here. Camera up a little. You didn't look like much now.
It looks like that character from, what is it, 2000?
Oh yeah, Crow.
Crow.
Yeah. Yes, he does.
Michael wants to know, is epoxy sculpt tacky or sticky at all?
Oh, it sticks to everything.
So it's sticky.
Yes. Here, let me look. I'll let you see my favorite tool here. Where is it? Oh, right there. The problem as it gets on my gloves, and this is what I was talking about before, when you're working with this material, if you don't have gloves on, all this gets on your skin. You can kind of see where it's discolored on my gloves here. But as I'm touching, just routinely touching this, then it transfers to the metal and it sticks there. And then it builds up into this wonderful texture. I really dig that texture. So fun.
Yeah, I go around and clean his tools, and he's don't touch that one. Leave it the way it is. Okay. I call that my debarnacleizing tools. This thing I don't like all these things. He goes, well, I gotta have it just the way it is. We will.
Well, occasionally you have to clean it off, but it's not that not that often.
That's what Tony Eagle says. Looks like the little stalagmites.
Yeah, yeah, very much so.
It thinks it's African eagles. No, it's not African eagles.
Sometimes the closed captioning doesn't pick up what we're saying because the microphone's up here and we're mumbling out down below, and so there's all kinds of weird messages that it comes up with.
Snail says, what ratios do you use for the base sculpture versus details?
I still do. It's 1-to-1 all the way through. Sometimes I use aluminum foil to bulk it out. But in this case, I'm not, because I want to be able to reach that tube of lights inside. And you'll see why. Hopefully you'll see why. If I get that far along. If I don't, then it's going to be like solid in there, and then it'll be a sad day. And this stuff, you can smooth it with, well, you can smooth it with water actually, but I like using this safety solvent from the same company. And I'm not sure what's in it, but it's built specifically for smoothing this Ava stuff. I'm sure you can get material data safety sheet on that. It smells a little alcoholish.
Don't drink it.
Yeah, don't drink it.
Another temptation was there.
Now it's just a matter of just blocking it out and trying to get that shape that you want to come out. Kind of helps to put the horns on.
Laura wants to know, is your space ventilated?
Yeah, there's a ceiling fan up over the top of us, and normally we have a window open, but not today because of well, it's raining. And okay, I don't know, I don't have an excuse. It's hot outside.
It's hot outside and the AC is out.
Yeah. If some of you are familiar with working with Sculpting, which is what I'm doing some of the characters for the RPG sculpting thing that I'm doing on Twitch, Sculpting has a much less tacky feel to it. So
Jake wants to know, what is the working time for the epoxy?
about an hour and a half of good working time, and then after that it starts to solidify and it gets kind of tough. Around 3 hours it becomes pretty hard to maneuver.
Nora wants to know, if you spend a few hours on your head and that molding mixture starts to dry, will it attach well to the body?
Yes, it will. Yeah, there's no, I mean, this stuff all you need to do is mix up some more of this and blend it, and it'll stick like crazy. So yeah, no problem there. So you saw the big head the big Dracolich that Stefan has, and it was done just like this, with small pieces at a time, working it in, and one more layer, after another. What you have to do here, in any sculpture, you have to worry about planes. You want to really accentuate those planes because you want it to be visible, more so than what you would see in real life. And so there, what I mean is that there has to be this plane in the eye, and then there should be a little bit of an undercut underneath the eye like that, and there should be, your nose for your dragon should be over accentuated here.
Leprechaun wants to know what's the advantages to epoxy versus sculpting.
The advantage is strength, and if you're going to do one of a kind, which is what this sculpture is, this will be solid, and while it is breakable, it is much less breakable than super sculpting. And it doesn't have some of the same problems that Super Sculpey has. Like, for instance, Super Sculpey will occasionally crack on you for no reason. You bake it and you put it on the shelf, and then you look up and say, why is there a crack in my perfectly smooth leg that I took so long to sculpt? I still like Super Sculpey, don't get me wrong, because it's a beautiful product because of the way it works, just the quality of the feel of the clay, the fact you don't have to wear gloves. Tune in tomorrow on Twitch. You'll see I'm working that one character, Fulcrum, he's a demon elf, and I'm working him into a sculpture with Super Sculpey.
Kids ask, have you ever used Minkin's clay?
Minkin's clay. I don't know. That's not familiar to me. I am anxious. I got some ordered. I am anxious to try cosplay, because cosplay, I've been told anyway, functions much like Super Sculpey, except that when it's baked, it is a flexible substance. So I'm really anxious to do that. I want to see what it does. Make sure that plane is underneath his eye there, and then in a second here I'm going to add the eyeball, but first I want to get this roughed out to the point where I'm pretty satisfied with it. Now this head is going to be, it's going to be at the end. Here's the neck back here, and it's coming out, and he's really mad.
Nicole wants to know, if you leave a piece after working on it and it dries, can you wet it later to continue working on that piece?
No, I'm sorry. No, it's not possible. It is solid. It becomes completely cured, and there is no going back. That piece is done. What? Oh, I picked up some hot glue. That's a problem. You know how hot glue looks like spider webs when you're gluing something and it pulls out in a fine little line.
Citizens of Zozo. Did you go to school for this, or did you learn it all through experience and trial and error?
I learned it through the experience, trial and error, and some wonderful, wonderful fellow artist who was willing to, you know, tell me different secrets as I was going along, and that's the reason why I do these kind of podcasts now, because I feel like I need to pay it forward to other artists who are, or into just anybody who is curious and wants to watch. But I feel especially indebted, to those artists who helped me, and I want to pay it forward. I wish I'd gone to school. If my circumstances had been different, I might have, yes. I would have gotten something a little bit more useful for, like an art degree rather than the degree that I have.
Michael Colbert. Here, I was thinking it was cat hair. But I end up picking off my stuff. It is everywhere.
Yeah, I guess when I glued that, those horns on the back there. Alright, so let's define this a little bit.
So these tools that you're using, most of them are dental tools and...
Yes. This is a part of a dental wax carver kit, and you can get these wax carver kits, a whole set of tools, from Amazon for about $12. And this is my favorite tool. And I'm often joking that the dentist he has this little tool, and this end is to scoop up the tooth after it's all broken up in your mouth, and this one's to poke it.
Hey, you could ask when you go to the dentist, sometimes they have a whole box full of broken tools, and my dentist just gave me a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, they do that too. After a certain time period, they can't use the tools anymore, or they get tired of them or something. And sometimes if you ask nicely.
Well, they're happy to be contributing to your art. Jake wants to know, do you use the epoxy for all the detail, or do you carve, sand, drill in detail later?
I use it for all the detail, but you can carve and sand this stuff afterwards. It is very, very sandable afterwards.
Do you have a piece that's already dried?
Well, the box down there, but I have no desire to sand that.
Allison wants to know, do you have to bake or treat the epoxy before you paint it, or is it good to go once it's dried?
It's good to go once it's dried. I do often put a primer on it, but you could actually paint right on it. It wouldn't hurt it without the primer. Thank you for opening up GenCon with me. This is great. I'm glad you stopped by today.
You guys learning? Kelly Z, my son would like to know what the first thing you ever made was.
That one is an easy question. Finally, an easy question. When I was 7 years old, I sculpted a dog out of Play-Doh. Wish I had kept it, or But you know how things are when you're 7. But my mom was especially keen on it, as all moms usually are for 7-year-olds.
Playful Mirrors wants to know, how did you start out selling your works?
There was a lady in our town, a little small town. We had started working with Macintosh computers back in the day and opened up a desktop publishing service in this little small town. And they got fascinated, her and her husband got fascinated that we were working with with Macintosh computers, because they were into computers too. And so they came over to the house one night, and she saw that I had a bunch of artwork there, and I was painting and doing my own thing, with fantasy paintings and that type of thing. But I'd never gone to a show before. I'd never gone to sci-fi shows or anything. I just never occurred to me. And she saw that, and she said, "Hey, you know what? You need to come with me to the next show." And I think that was WindyCon in Chicago. And so she introduced me to WindyCon, and man, oh man, when I got there and I saw the kind of quality, back in those days, there was no internet, and here I was inches away from like Michael Whalen's work, and Mitch Bentley's work, and Bob Eagleton's work, and this was all in the sci-fi realm at that time. And then I learned that you could put your own work up right next to, like the next panel over could be your work. And it's like, that just blew my mind. It was like, wow. Not that I felt really worthy, but it was an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to be seen, and to be heard with your artwork. And so one thing led to another, and I just kept on going with her to these shows. And she was the one. I mean, she'd do little crude dragons like this. It's missing an ear. I know. I need to repair it. But she would do these little funny, cutesy dragons, and
That was out of Super Sculpting, wasn't it?
yes, out of Super Sculpting. And she was selling a ton of these. I mean, it was just like, what? You can make money at art?
You just gotta get it out there. It doesn't matter. Don't feel like you're not worthy. People will buy if they like it. It's because the artist. Well, put it this way: the artist is never satisfied with what they make. But for those that don't know how to do what you do, it's like, whoa, it's gold. I want it.
Yeah, it was quite magical time too.
Leprechaun wants to know, what's the strangest sculpture you ever made? That monster thing you said would never sell, to throw it away.
Oh, the head thing?
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah. I don't think we have any pictures of that. But I did a full face mask, full head sculpt, a bust of this, just letting my imagination go and doing whatever I wanted to do. And
It looked like a swamp creature or something.
that was back in the early 90s, I think. In the Wayback Machine.
Mm-hmm.
Back in my day.
Oh, just throw it away, cat. We don't need that. Nobody will buy that. Somebody bought it for $50 and we got more product.
Yeah.
That's all that's about. Don't listen to the artist. Put it
Well,
out
never
there.
mind that I spent probably $200 in that. And one of the things that's really problematic with young artists is that they just don't price their work right.
Yeah, I know.
Chief cook and bottle washer. I am often in a situation where I go through that stage, I like up. I'm already, oh, this is so rockin' cool. This is really this is gonna be it. Yeah, this is awesome. And then, on the something goes wrong with the sculpt, and it's like, oh, I hate it. I just hate it. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna be worth anything. Uh, it usually happens to me once I finish a sculpture. Then I have a little bit of a time where I'm pretty satisfied, and then I start
Very little.
then I start picking it apart. I'm sorry, I just do. But it's part of learning too, though. So even though I say that, it's still part of learning, and learning what you should and shouldn't do. And if you have to be somewhat of a self-critic, because if you're not, you end up being like one of those people on American Idol. They come on and they audition, and they can't even hold a tune. And they're told, no, you should try something else. You don't have any talent, and then they keep on doing the same thing. I'm gonna do this. I don't care what you say. Well, maybe they will. Maybe that motivates them to go and practice and do all kinds of things and come back and to prove the judges wrong. But they will not do that if they don't have some type of internal dialogue with themselves and ask themselves, how can I get better? Yeah, just my thoughts. And just because somebody criticizes your work, don't get all mad.
There you go.
Although I do.
Gotta walk around there with kid gloves and somehow get it through 'em. Well,
Hey,
that one might not been your best, but try tweaking it over here. Oh boy.
Hey, I learned.
Hellboy?
Hellboy would make a nice sculpture.
Says Hellboy, hey, I learned a boy cowboy would make, oh my god, what is that? Nick, oh my god.
Remember to speak into the mic.
Oh, it's way over there.
Yeah. Bring that down just a little bit.
Citizen of Zolo. Are you going to stream or post video of the rest of your work on this sculpt?
Yes, I will. I'm going to do it on Twitch. So one of my projects on Twitch is going to be the rest of the sculpt. And, Twitch is long format, so you can tune in when you want and see what you want, and then we will finish it up eventually, anyway. This is going to be a long one. I have another project that I want to start on too, and that is a game screen, a DM screen. But I wanted to do a dragon facing the characters, where his wings come out over the top of to the sides, and more or less fall, make a launching look to the DM screen. I got so many projects. Somebody asked me the other day, what is it that's motivating you? How do you come up with these other projects?
It's starvation.
Well, the real secret is that once you start doing a project, other projects will blossom inside your mind as you do it. And so the act of doing, I don't care what you're doing, you just have to start. I mean, the first project that you do, it may not be worth a hoot, but it will produce other things. And then occasionally you'll have this really good idea. I have one every decade.
has gotta have an intimidating screen.
Yeah, I that's what I was going for, like a really, really intimidating screen. I wanted to get to the part where we get. It's going a little slower than I wanted. He is coming along. He is looking more and more like a dragon. He's less and less like Crow. Tool, what am I looking for? Where is it? Right there. I like these little silicone tipped tools.
Out of screen.
Little silicone tipped tools. They make great smoothers. Like when your fingers are too big to go somewhere in the sculpture, these guys are really what you want. But when you're working with this Avis stuff, you definitely have to clean that too after you're finished, because otherwise you'll end up with not silicone, but something very, very plastic-like.
Sophie wants to know, do you have to keep this under plastic while it dries?
No, because it'll cure right even under plastic. So whatever you do, you have to plan your day out in accordance with how much. You don't want to mix up too much and tackle too much more than what you can get done in that particular day, because it will solidify on you. And there is no stopping it. Once it's mixed together, there is no stopping it. Let's see here. It's a little bit of a nose job there. Hey, you're dead already, so buddy, you're not gonna feel that. Wait until we start digging into your flesh here. Oh, sorry. I had to see what I was doing here.
Sophie wants to know, can you add more wet epoxy to epoxy that has already dried?
Oh, yes. Yep. Yeah, so the whole basis of my type of sculpture is additive. It's every day is I want to bring his horns out a little bit. It's adding more and more to it. And we need a little bit more right in there. And when we're looking at this side is a little bit anemic, so we're going to put a big clump there.
Michael wants to know, tool clean would need to be done within the hour and a half to 3 hour period to get all of them off?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, it will break. You like this thing here, you could take a hammer to it. Since it's metal, it'll just crack off of that metal. But preferably what you want to do is you want to clean your tools before you have to take a hammer to them. I want to get it to a stage where I can put the eyes in, and then I also want to get it to a stage where I can dig down into his nostrils and reveal that tube, because remember, this is a Dracolich, so he has actually got a flesh rotting problem. Or I should say, you know, somebody smacked him in the nose and it's a bit more than a nosebleed. But you'll see, it's going to look cool. It's going to look cool. I know it's going to look cool.
Citizen of Zuzo, what do you use to clean your tools?
Oh, a little bit of this safety solvent. Just dip it in there, take some paper towel, and wipe it off. If it dries on there, you can take a knife and just scrape it, and it'll come off. A little bit more difficult, but it will come off. So we want to make sure his lips come up. We've got some kind of a cavity down there. He's toothless.
Ivy wants to know, in addition to sculpting, what other kinds of art do you like making? Is there anything you think is cool, but haven't tried it yourself?
Oh, there's lots of things I haven't tried myself, but this past May I got into, I've been watching a lot of EVA foam making cosplay, and really dig that. And so I decided to make Arya's secret weapon. Remember when season 8 of Game of Thrones started, there was this scene, you probably don't remember because it was so fast, but I latched onto that scene for some reason, and she goes to Gendry and the blacksmith dude, and she wants him to make her a double staff weapon spear thing. So I thought, and she hands him in this piece of paper, and the paper just has a really brief little crude sketch on it. And then they never go back there. They never say, boo, what, if you made it, or what. It's all just...
So David Pancake makes it here.
Yes. Hang on here, and I'm... So, this is what I did. And in the drawing, it looked like that the staff came apart. And so I made it so it came apart. And then the bonus is that this in here looks like it glows with a poison fluid in it. And I made two. The first one was a really long spear, like one of the arrows that. There we go. It doesn't show up a lot on camera, but
that's pretty cool.
It glows. So I poured a clear crystal rod of resin, and I put the lights inside the resin before it was solidified, and then I just let it solidify. These little things, oh man, if you guys are into cosplay, these little lights, let me see, I think I got one over here somewhere. Right there. Oh, boy. My camera hit the sculpture. But anyway, these little lights, there's a little battery pack with these really thin batteries, and look at that. So if you guys are looking for some cosplay elements that you want LEDs on, this is the bomb. So yeah, and these are available on Amazon. I will make sure that all of what I'm talking about is in the post sometime after this comes out.
Joanne wants to know, do you add the teeth later, and are those also made of the same material?
Yes. They are made of the same material. I'm debating on to whether or not I'm going to add them now or later. I will probably add them later.
Can't see what you're doing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, so when I'm looking at this, I'm noticing that I got some things wrong. And
What?
this side of the face ridge needs to be worked out a little bit more. And see how one horn goes back and it's kind of filled in, and this one dips? I want to make sure that they're both the same. I have been teaching myself to do work in ZBrush. Wow, is that cool? That is a cool program. I've had some degree of success.
What is ZBrush?
ZBrush is the leading computer modeling programs, computer sculpting program that most, like Hollywood uses, and it's out there. But I've been having a lot of fun with that too while here. We did 26 shows last year that we attended, and GenCon was definitely our biggest. But when that all went away, I was no longer just doing production work, because a lot of my day was filled with production work. What I mean by that is I cast my sculptures into resin and then hand paint, and a lot of my day or days were always filled up with making more because we'd go to the shows and we'd sell out. And it was a good problem to have, believe me. It was a sweet problem to have. But we have been at home, and so things have slowed down drastically. There's been some sales on the internet, but not a great deal. I mean, we've done enough to survive.
And
Just
we thank
barely.
you for it.
Yes, we do. We thank you very much. So all of you who have learned to purchase online, it's not the same, I know, because you go to the show, you get to see firsthand, you get to pick it up, and you get to look at it. But that's not going to be for a while. As it stands right now, all my shows for the entire year have been canceled. So
Can't curl up in a corner and cry about it, so you gotta figure out another way.
yeah. Boy, oh boy, I'm not getting as far along as I wanted to with this. And I need to have a lot of detail added still. Let's put the eye in.
Let's do.
Before I get too far along. And
Oh, cool.
sometimes, like you put the eye in and it's like, oh my God, that can't be, because it's you haven't put any eyelashes, or
Eyelashes.
not eyelashes, but eyelids. You haven't done the structure around the eye, and you can make it the prettiest eye in the world, or the glass eye part of it, and still, if you don't do the structure, it's just not there. So what you have to do is you have to start filling in the structure. I thought about not putting any eye at all and then just making it glow like a socket, you know. But we'll see. But I don't like what I've done here. He's not attached yet. So I don't have to be married to this design. I can always use him somewhere else, you know. But I'm kind of digging the way he's looking. I don't know if you guys are or not. Can you reach up there to turn that light on?
Is it that button?
On the side there.
You must not have it plugged in.
Maybe I can do it.
Pushed it.
It doesn't push, it slides up. Here, let me see if I can get it. Just need a little bit more light, folks.
Oh, there. Pushing that big knob. Citizen of Zozo says, I'm digging them.
Now, one of the things that you can do with this epoxy that you can't readily do with Sculpting is that it burnishes really, really well. And what I mean by that is that if you just kind of like pet it. Okay, look. Let's see if I can get this to work. So I want to make something smooth. Smooth is always harder to do than texture. So I'm just kind of really run my finger lightly over the top of this, very, very lightly. And you're going to see that there is a sheen that comes up on this stuff. But you got to be really light. You got to, you know, just barely touch it.
Austin says the dragon looks a bit apprehensive.
So yeah, there is things that you can do with this Avis epoxy sculpt that you can't do with your Super Sculpt. I want to go back to the question about things that I want to do, you know, in other areas. I used to paint quite a bit, but I'm not a fantastic 2D artist. I think better in 3D. And the things that I wanted to do now is I want to get the ZBrush going to the point where I can do some jewelry. Because my eyes are not what they were when I was 20. Unfortunately.
I don't think anybody's are.
Yeah, I used to be really good with my eyes could see well. Alright, so I want to put in here, I'm going to dig out some like rotting cavities into his nostril. So I'm going to damage him.
Shalar says, an apprehensive Dracolich. Sounds like a good project to post on Adorable Dragons on Reddit.
Yeah, baby. Look at that. And his nostril is glowing.
Ooh, that looks good.
And now we gotta make this look like, I want to make it look like the sinews are still there, and
The who's are still there?
the sinews, this like the muscle tissue is still there. So
Citizen of Zozo, please tell me more about that art on the wall with the red dragon. Go rawr at someone.
Cat.
That'd be me, Cat.
No, this is Cat Brimlin,
Aw.
a fellow artist. Did that. I was sitting across from her at one of the shows, and it was a slow show, and so she decided to draw me, and did the drawing. And
Joanne says, yay!
and so I've kept it ever since. I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. Then I have another one by another artist over there. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that or not.
Maps and what they go.
Yeah. So all of these were done like sitting across from me, looking at my giant dragon heads. Oh, see the way that's looking? That's looking really awesome. I mean, I like the way that looks. But now I'm going to have to do, I'm going to have to get into the texture end of this, because I might have been just chewed off a little bit more than I could actually do today. And I can come back in afterwards, and I can put like horns coming out of these right there. I think I will, actually. So let's divide him up here. Let's see. I want to give him a crease down the nostril here. Yeah. And then I want to come back in, and I want to push that. This guy should look like he is really wrinkled, and he's got a lot of problems. He's old. He's old.
You want me to pull up that other Dracolich?
Yeah, pull up that other one, show him what I'm trying to achieve there. And then I'm going to come up. See how this with this silicone is just perfect for this. It creates a little wrinkle there. And then one of the things that you want to remember to do is, like, there's a magic if you just randomly, if you do this here, we'll smooth out this. Okay, so there's, if I kept going, it would get really, really smooth. But then if you wanted to make it so it looks like it's wrinkled, then you come through and you do the X, the magic of the X, and just keep on going, and just lightly touch it, And just keep on crossing over. But you have to follow, the rhythm of the wrinkles, the anatomy of the wrinkles. You have to kind of, like where things should be wrinkled, that's where you want them to be. And that's what we're going to do here. So it's just a magic of the X, and then a lot of repeat.
All right, where'd those guys go?
They were in the face cam. I should have.
Face cam? Okay.
Yeah. So you have to change, put them in there.
Arya. Dracolich. Okay. There. I'm gonna make this half. Oops.
No, just go back to the body cam. Alright, let's go on the other side, and let's do something similar with him on the other side. Now this is the part that's tricky, because normally probably if I was working this, and I wouldn't try to do more than one side at a time, and then I would pause and then redo it. So let's get the eye in there. This is important. Let's make sure the slit is the right way. And you got to remember that your dragon is a predator. So that means they don't have cow eyes. They have forward-facing eyes. But still, there is a difference. There's, it kind of looks like the eye is on the side of the head. Okay, kind of like that. And then we need to put this over the top here. Fill in that back portion there a little bit. And you want him, if he's angry, you know the secret there, right? I mean,
No.
Well, it's heavy brows in front, like, and the nose is scrunched up, and the heavy brows come down. My face is
Like you?
permanently angry. But that's the secret, is that these heavy brows in front, and then it goes up in the back, and you get that. See, look how angry he looks. Oh my goodness.
Bring it. I can't see him. There you go.
He looks pissed. Okay, now we're going to go down underneath him like this, and yep, see, on both sides. Oh, doesn't that look nasty right there? That he's the rotting flesh.
Yeah, kind of.
And we want to keep on working those wrinkles in. And once we get teeth in here, we will come back. We'll probably come back and put a little bit more Sculpting in here. I mean, not Sculpting, but Avis Epoxy Sculpt. And then we'll sink the teeth into the gums, and we'll break off a few because he doesn't have regenerative powers anymore. He's a Dracolich. He's the undead. He's a mean rascal. He's lived so long, and then he's undergone the ritual to become a Dracolich. Now, I want to... okay, yeah, I'm not finished here, am I? I want to make sure that I also get some texture on my horns back there, or at least start on them, because otherwise I'll have to saw them off and start over when I pick this up the next day. little bit farther back in there, dude. Come on. Cooperate with me. Alright, so he needs a little bit more fill out because remember you're sculpting for planes, and so you want to make sure that the eye socket looks right. Okay. Alright, let's dig down into that nostril. And that, not the nostril, but the sinuses. Yeah, it's gonna be it's horrific. It's horrific.
Rooter.
And I don't want it to get it the same way twice.
Ow! Oh.
Yeah. And this time I was able to leave a little bit of clay there. Look at that. That's good.
Oh, that's cool.
And so later on, if we want to add, for instance, I'm looking at this and I'm almost positive that I'm gonna build this up later on.
Where'd you go?
Okay, yeah. This area right in here, I'll probably come back and build that up and make that look a little different than it's looking to me right now. But I'm liking the way his eyes are looking. And I'm liking the way that nostril is looking. And I like these lines down through here.
Snail says eye positioning is always a nightmare.
Especially with this Vises epoxy sculpt, it's tedious. You push on it a little bit and it shifts around on you quite a bit. I prefer it with Sculpey, but this is like I say this, folks. This is a one of a kind. There is only going to be one of him, and I really think this eyeball needs to go back further. Now that I'm looking at it, sink it back in a little bit farther. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it looks better. And a little bit on that side there too. But I'm not going to worry too much about getting his flesh all clean and everything, tool free. In fact, I want to really wrinkle it up and put a lot of texture on it.
Can't see.
Oh, I don't like that blinking light in my. This will come with a remote, by the way. And so I can do the slow fade in and fade out. Come down through. You could do scales on this, but the problem there is that if you do scales, you don't get all these nice, cool wrinkles. And I want the wrinkles in there. I want him to look like zombie flesh. I want him to look so ancient and rough and.
The camera needs adjusting. Okay.
gotta watch what you're doing, because you move one and you end up squishing that clay in a way that you don't want it to go.
Rodrigo says, "Muito lindo o trabajo." I think that's translated, very beautiful work.
Thank you.
Sophie, are you dipping your brush in water or solvent?
Solvent. It's the Avis safety solvent. But you can do it with the water. You know, if you're more comfortable with the water, you can do that. It works just a little less efficiently. Okay, now this nostril can't be smooth, and it should look. Maybe it's even torn. You know.
Where'd you go?
Maybe it's even torn. Maybe it's like, you know, put a wrinkle right in there. Got to be careful here. I'm going to sound like Bob Ross.
See the camera? No, I mean over there so you can see what I'm seeing.
It's delayed.
There you go. You put a little tree in there, a little wrinkle in there.
Happy little accident. So.
Adultery in little. Oh my.
And I'm gonna put this further back in here so that I can, you know, I'll have a tongue in there eventually, and I will probably take a drill and drill that out, and move up one of these backlights here into that position, so that his mouth also lights up.
We're going to
Folks, I know that, you know, if you have to go, then you have to go to your next event. But I'm going to continue here a little longer and see if I can get those horns textured, and then I'll knock off for today. And then don't forget, you know, I mean, I will be doing this I'll be finishing up this dragon on my Twitch account, my Twitch channel, and I will let you know as to what schedule that I'm going to follow there. Let's see, we need to even up the sides here a little bit. Yeah, there we go. We'll just make a little weirdness there.
Megan says, not a bad thing to sound like Bob Ross.
Nope. He is definitely getting there, folks. There's just a lot of things to do here.
Tetra says, nice thing about virtual Dragon Con, or Gen Con, no need to physically run to different events.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? That's something different. But I totally understand if you got an event to go to, you get on skedaddle on out of here.
Austin's gotta leave. Need to run to a new tab.
I really thank everyone for showing up today. It's been very, very gratifying. Thank you very much. And if you want to see me finish this thing, tune into my Twitch account. Okay, so I'm going to do the rudimentary texture of the horns here. And we'll do the base first, but I'm going to do a little bit of a design on this, I hope, you know.
Sarah B says, thank you so much. This was amazing to watch.
Yeah, thank you. For those that want to, you can stick around and watch me do the horns. But then I'm going to quit right after that, okay?
Okay. Where'd you go?
Right there.
There you go. Kevin, thank you. This has been absolutely amazing. Gotta start some sculpting.
You'd be surprised what you can get done with. There's all kinds of materials out there. I could have, instead of making my keep out of this Avis stuff, I could have probably done it out of foam. But I'm trying to make a one of a kind piece of art, so you know, if I was doing it for a game, I would probably do it differently. You know, I'd sculpt it out of foam because then you could make chambers inside, and that would be kind of fun. And it could be part of your tabletop. For those guys, you know, before you leave here, I want to mention my son's show on Twitch, which is, you know, what I'm doing with Kodo and Skeezer and all the rest of them, that the character sculpts. Um, that is TT2KB, and they run a variety of shows on Pathfinder and D&D, Shadowrun. They just do a lot. So if you want to tune into that, that's TT2KB on Twitch. And then also, they run a talk show every Monday night called Wisdom Check. They've had some astounding guests on there. And if you want to tune into that, you'd be surprised. Larry Elmonger's been on there, Satine Phoenix, Stefan Porcani, Alex Gygax. Trying to get Luke. We'll see.
Horn Gatekeeper asked, Mr. Pancake, was your last name always Pancake?
Ah, there's the question. I was waiting for it.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Yes, I was born with that name. Yeah,
Silence, cricket, cricket.
it is, I guess, I've been told that it's German. And it is, I think the original was Pfannkuchen, but it was changed back in 1756.
Camera down.
I find myself holding my breath. Yeah, and I don't know, you know, I guess one relative couldn't spell it, Pfannkuchen, and so they, you know, butchered the name. Then the son comes along and says, just make it Pancake.
Take it up. There we are.
The horn shouldn't take me too long here.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Werewolf Party says, thank you for making this awesome tutorial. Love seeing your progress.
Well, thank you. So yeah, if you want to help an artist, you do so by enjoying videos that I make. That helps a lot. And you can always join the fun on Twitch. That's fun. And don't forget, I have a Patreon account too, where you can get exclusive artwork. We have 2 little dragons that you can only get by being a Patreon. I have a special on Patreon too. There's one tier that's called the Dragon of the Month Club, in which every month I send you a new little collectible dragon. So I've had a lot of fun with that.
Horn Gatekeeper says, also, your work is incredible. I was planning to sculpt along, but I got into watching it so much. It's like, oh.
That occasionally happens to me. I like that when that happens. Now, I don't have to be married to these horns. You know, if I come back tomorrow and I decide I don't like this pattern, I can always chop them off and redo them. If I decide I wanted to spend a little bit more time on them, I might. But I wanted to get to this stage and see what, you know, what it looked like. Just exploring. It is a little when you're doing this on camera, it is what can I say about that? It's really by the time I get off of here, I will just collapse, you know, because not only is my brain engaged in making the sculpture, but it's also engaged in talking to you. And that burns up a lot of energy. And now we can go back through and we can just, you know, we can just hit this with some texture. And occasionally I'm going to bear down deeper because this is, you know, even his horns are like got problems. And just kind of sporadically do it.
I copied that and it came up 3 times. Patreon.
Hit command, go to this white, click on it. Now highlight that area. Now copy. That's the Twitch. Copy, Command C first. Now go back over to your Command B. So what do you think of the dragon so far, people? Is he sufficiently creepy?
Creepy.
Could I do anything more to get him any scarier?
Sound effects.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We'll have to load in some sound effects to play periodically when I'm working on him.
Matthew says, thank you so much. Tiffany, this was amazing to watch. Thank you.
We got farther along than, I mean, I probably wouldn't have got this far along if I was just, doing casual sculpt, just relaxed. But since I knew that I had an hour and a half, I pushed it pretty good.
Kevin Krause says, totally creepy. Joanne looks great. Smith Queen, very cool. Snail, he is excellent. Shalar, awesome. Kelly Z, Sue's connecting to mouth, could be cool. What? Sinews?
Oh, sinews, yeah.
Connecting the mouth could be cool.
Yeah, we'll come back, and when we do the teeth, that'll make it even creepier. But then we will do maybe some side sinews in here and put a hole in them. Yeah, kind of like a venom, And let's just put a hole in there for right now.
Nicole says, he is incredible. Have you ever used hot glue to imitate saliva drippings inside his mouth?
That's a really good, an excellent suggestion, and we will do that. Get those teeth on there, and that will look creepy as hell.
Ryan says, also the dragon looks great. I like the damage on the snout.
And we could actually, once if we do kind of a wing or an ear out here, then that can also be added on and then maybe torn, a little bit.
Norman says, thanks for this. Something that couldn't have happened at regular GenCon.
No, you're right. This is so different, and you have to make the best of a situation. I know it's bad that we can't be together, but hey, at least we got this, and tech is really cool to us these days. I say what you want, it's still very nice to have a connection that no other humans in history have ever had. And think about this too. This is a historical moment for GenCon, the very first virtual GenCon. So you're part of a history.
Yay!
All right, folks, I could sit here and tinker for hours, but we are going to pause it at this moment and tell you very much thank you. Visit my website, visit my store, please. Oh, please. Shameless self-promotion there. Yeah, and please join me on Twitch. And then Saturday, I'm interviewing Phil Vilken at 4 o'clock here on YouTube, so you can come back and attend that too. So thank you very much. And we will call it that and go back, Kat, and end our... I'll finish.